Okay. Good morning. We're at the bottom of Lamed Vav Amud Aleph 36a, right at the beginning of the wider set of lines. We're back to our description of the Jewish people as they stood at the two mountains, Har Gerizim and Har Eival, receiving the blessings and the curses. So we have in the description of this event, you have the way the Torah describes it as it's going to go down, and then you have the way it's described in the book of Yeshua. And the Gemara is going to go back and forth between those two descriptions in some ways and get to a full clarity as to how this all happened. Something we were doing before already, describing the amount of stones, starting from the description of how the fact that it's going to have the Torah written on it, comparing to the way Moshe describes it versus how it's described when it actually happens in Yeshua. So in the book of Yeshua, it says as follows. And the Gemara opens up with asking, what's the meaning of that which it says there? V'hachetziov. So the verse reads in its totality, it's Yeshua chapter 6, and it's printed on the side here of this text. And all the Jews and the elders and the policemen and the judges standing on one side or the other side of the ark, facing the Kohanim and the Leviim who carry the ark. The convert, the settled, the resident, they're all there. Half facing Har Gerizim, right? They're standing on Har Eival. And then it goes like this. Here's the key. And the half facing Har Eival, meaning standing on Har Gerizim, as Moshe had commanded, as commanded by Moshe, servant of God, to bless the people first, and then the curses. So the Gemara asks, what's the meaning of and the half, the hachetziov? When it describes those facing Har Gerizim, meaning standing on Har Eival, they're referred to as half. But then when it describes those standing who are facing Eival, meaning they're standing on Gerizim, it says and the half, as if we already know them. There's a known here, the half. So Amar Rav Kana explains. Kederach shechalukim kan, the way they are divided here, the tribe is divided amongst the two mountains. Kachalukin, so are they divided? Ba'avnei ephod, on the stones of the ephod. So on the ephod, there's the breastplate of the high priest, which has 12 stones, each stone with the name of another tribe. But in addition to that, you have the ephod, which is like this apron type thing, which went around his waist, like a belt around his waist, and then from the waist, they're hung down in a kind of apron. And from the back of that apron, there were two straps that came up to the shoulders. And the shoulder straps were hooked to the breastplate, the bottom of which were hooked to the top of the belt of the apron in the front. So at the meeting place, or up on top of the ephod over here, there were two stones. And each of those stones had the names of the tribes on it, 6 on each stone. Now here's the Torah describes it.
6 on each
stone, on each stone, which is on each shoulder. Right? This is in addition to the breastplate there. Make it clear. So
there's a picture here.
There you have it. Oh, just this. Okay, this is the okay.
No.
He's giving you the replication based on Rambam, right? Which is discussion on what is the order of the tribes are. This is a matter of dispute. We're going to go with Rashi's interpretation at the moment to make it less confusing.
Yeah.
I'll explain in a minute where this dispute comes in when we see the Gemara. Okay. So the Gemara would take this. Like couplings. So the Gemara says, Meisvei, with the following contradiction to Rav Kana's statement, following just to clarify this word, We point this out a number of times. If the Gemara introduces a question, the word that it uses to introduce the question indicates what kind of question it is. Like you have different types of ways to ask a question. Kasha, Maskif, Mesve, Rami, Ibaya. And each time the Gemara asks a question in that way, it indicates to you what kind of question. So when you have the word Mesve, it means a contradiction to a statement, but the contradiction is such that the source we're about to quote is of a higher standing than the one who spoke. So in this case, we have Rav Kana speaking. Rav Kana, in explaining why it says, and the half, describing the half that's on the mount of Avel, half that's on the mount of Gvizim facing Avel, it says the half. So Rav Kana explained, because the division, it's the half we already know about, because the half we know about from the Kohen's stone on his shoulder. So that's why it's the half, because the division here in the two mountains is the same as a division on the two stones. So it's the half. Right? That's how I've kind of explained it, right? Clear on this, yeah? The pasuk says, describing half of the Jews, half the tribes that are on one of the mountains as the half, as if there's a half we already know about. So explains Rav Kana, we do know about that half, because it's the half that's already written way earlier describing the breastplate, the same list. So it's describing the shoulder stone. The half that's on the shoulder stone, that's the same half that's on the mountain. So it's the half. Right? The Gemara is now going to challenge that by citing to a Mishnaic text which contradicts that. And thus it's Mesve. Because Rav Kana who speaks is of the Amoraic age. He's from the era of the Gemara. And the text we're about to quote is from the Mishnaic era. So whenever you have this word Mesve, it means the person is going to be challenged with a source greater than the person speaking. That's what Mesve means, always. So Mesve, the Gemara challenges Rav Kana's position by citing to a text of the Mishnaic era, Rav Kana being of the Amoraic era. There it says, Shtei avonim toivos. There were two beautiful stones, two good stones, precious stones. Hayu lo l'kohen gadol. There was to the high priest al ktefav on his shoulders. Achas pekan. One on this side of his shoulder, achas pekan, and one on the other shoulder. Ushmois shneim asar shvatim, and the names of the 12 tribes, Kosovo, were written on these stones. Shishal Evan Zu, 6 tribes written on one stone, Shishal Evan Zu, and 6 on the other one. Shenemar, as the verse reads in the book of Shemais, Shisham Bishmoisam, 6 of their names, Al Evan Achas, on one stone. That's what the verse reads. And then it says, and the names of the leftover 6 on the other. That's the literal translation. And then it concludes, Shnia on the second one, Kitel Doisam, in their birth order. That's what the verse says. That 6 were on one stone, and the remaining 6 were on the other stone, or on the second stone, in their birth order. Sorry?
Verse 6 of that.
Sorry, don't read the English because you get confused by what I'm about to say. Don't read the English. Right, so don't read the English. Listen to what I'm saying, otherwise you're going to get confused between what I'm saying versus what it says there in the translation in the English.
Both sides are in their birth order, only the second.
There's what the Gemara is about to comment on. So the verse reads like this. There was 2 stones, 6 names on one stone, the remaining 6 on the other stone in their birth order. So when it says in their birth order, what does that mean? So you could say it means the birth order starting from the top, going down. Going on the right side and then to the left, just listed in the birth order. With me or no? Yeah. But says the Mishnaic text there, no. Shnia Kitel Doisa. The second one was in the birth order. In other words, the second 6 written on the second stone were written in the birth order. The Lo Rishona Kitel Doisa, but not the first 6 in their birth order. Why? Mipnei sheYehuda Muktim. Because Yehuda was written first. So this is how it would go down in Rashi's view. Let's read it. So the second 6 of the 12 tribes in their order, which would be on the second stone, yeah, would be God Usher.
Stone means which side again?
Let's just say it means left. I think it means left.
Okay.
Going from right to left. Let's just assume the right, the first one, the left is the second one. So let's assume that for now. Rashi doesn't say which one it is. Right? So, sorry?
Okay.
Yeah, so I've kind of suggesting that whichever ones appeared on one stone were on one mountain, and the ones that appeared on the other stone were on the other mountain. That's Rav Kahana's view. The Gemara is challenging that now by telling us what the order was, or how it was split on the stones themselves. So the stones were split, according to this view, the older 6 on the one stone, the younger 6 on the second stone. Now, the younger 6 were listed in their order, their birth order. That would be, in Rashi's view, God, Asher, Yisachar, Zevulun, Yosef, and Binyamin. Clear?
That's Rashi's point of view, the age.
No, the order of age is
Order.
the order of age is universal. But okay, just so you're not confused by the picture. Rambam says it goes like this: not this 6 in order here and then 6 in order there, but that the order goes across. So Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar.
Okay.
Okay, so the birth order in Rambam's view goes across to both, whereas Rashi is saying 1 on 6 and then continue the list on the other side. So 2 columns rather than 1 row. That's what you'll see over there. The picture there, it's in Rambam's view, not what I'm about to describe. So again, in the view of this Mishnah text, we divide the tribes into 6 and 6, older half, younger half. The second stone written in the birth order, right? Which would be God, Asher, Yisachar, Zevulun, Yosef, Binyamin. I don't know by heart. I'm reading from Rashi.
Your father did a class on this.
On this dispute between Rashi and Rabbi.
This fall.
Yes.
We had one class on that.
Yes. Okay. Now said this opinion that when the verse says that they are written in their birth order, it's only referring to the second stone, the second half of the 6 tribes. They're written in their birth order, as we just described it. The first set of 6, the older set of 6, said this opinion that Yehuda was written first, which means they're all in their birth order with the exception of Yehuda. So it goes like this: Yehuda, he goes first, even though he's not oldest, and then now go back to the oldest: Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Dan, Naphtali. That is the view of this sage. Okay.
Is that because Reuben lost his birthright? Is that why he moved his birthright?
Doesn't say here.
I'm just thinking.
Doesn't say. Yeah, it could be.
The reason.
Doesn't say here.
Or
Because he's the king.
King. Yeah.
Doesn't say here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So says the Gemara, continues this Mishnah text. The Chamishim Oisius Hayu, they totaled 50 letters, all 12 tribes. Esim v'chomesh al even zu, 25 letters on this stone. Esim v'chomesh and 25 al even zu on the other stone. The Gemara is going to get into the particulars later, as Rashi points out for us, of the actual spelling, because the left side, the second set of 6, seems to have only 24 letters. The Gemara will explain that soon. So that is the opinion of the first scholar of the Mishnah age text. Rabbi Chanina, son of Gamliel, says, now top of Lamed Vav Mid Beis 36b, Loi kederech shechalukim v'chumash hapikudim chalukim ba'avnei ephod. Not in the way that they are divided in the beginning of the book of Bamidbar. Right, the beginning of the book of Bamidbar, right, is, let's see the order there. I'm pulling it up here. Give me 1 second. Look at the beginning of Bamidbar. Oops. Sorry. Bamidbar chapter 1. Yeah. So here it says, count the people, right? It's the book of Numbers. Count the people from 20 years and older, you and Aaron. And these are the names of the people who will stand there, who will be there.
Is that verse 5?
Sorry, it's verse 5 and 6 going forward. So the order there is like this: Reuven, Shimon, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zevulun, Yosef, meaning Menashe and Ephraim, Binyamin, Dan, Asher, Gad, Naphtali. So it's not in the order, not in their birth order, but rather, if you take Levi out, because Levi is counted separately, right? It's in the order of first Leah's children, Reuven, Shimon, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zevulun. Then Rachel's children, Yosef / Menashe and Ephraim. Then the women, and Binyamin, Yosef / Menashe, Ephraim, and Binyamin, children of Rachel. And then it gets to the children of the two maids that had children with Yaakov. Clear? So on the ephod birth order, but here it's in order of the mother. First Leah, then Rachel, then the other two, Bilhah and Zilpah. Yeah? So, says the Gemara, Loi kederech shechalukim b'chumash pekudim, not the way they are divided in the book of Pekudim, in the book of Numbers, that is Bamidbar, which we just looked at. Chalukim b'abnei ephod, not that is the order in which they appear on the two stones of the ephod. Ella rather, kederech shechalukim b'chumash sheni, rather they are divided, or they are listed in the same way that they are listed in the book of Shemois, when the Torah describes the 12 tribes entering in Egypt. Ketzad, how is that list? First comes Bnei Leah. First comes the daughters of Leah, Kesidron, in their order, which would be, as Rashi says, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zevulun. So far, that's the same as the book of Numbers, except that in Numbers, Levi is omitted. Right? Here you have Reuven, Shimon, Levi skip, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zevulun. Right? Now here's where the difference comes in the second side. Then comes Bnei Rachel. Then comes the daughters of Rachel. But we've already done 6, which means you have to go to the other side of the stone, right? Just with Leah's children, you've already done 6. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zevulun. So it's not in their birth order, it's in the order of their mother. The first opinion was that we go with the birth order. Right? And the birth order we said was first Yehuda, then where's Rashi's list here? Here. Then Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Dan, Naphtali, not Yisachar, Zevulun. Because Dan, Naphtali, the daughters of Zilpah, come before the last two sons of Leah. So the birth order is not in the order of their mothers. Right? Rachel only has children after Bilhah has children. And when Leah sees that Yaakov has children through Bilhah, and that causes Reuven to become pregnant, she then gives her maid to Yaakov. Right? So the birth order is not the same order as their mothers. Clear? Now the order of the mother is Leah, Rachel, and then the maids. But the order of the children is not like that. Scattered. Following? Following or no? Don't remember the order. You're talking about two numbers. It's just the notion of how the order is built.
Based on the maternal.
Based on yes, that's right. Based on the maternal status versus based on the timeline of their birth. The timeline of the birth does not match the maternal status. The maternal status would be Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, Zilpah. Whereas the birth order is completely different. Rachel's not status. Rachel's children are born last.
Just chronology.
That's right. Binyamin is born last at least. Yosef is born a little earlier. That's right. So now let's get back to this opinion. So the first opinion was Yehuda goes first, and then birth order, which would be Yehuda, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Dan, Naphtali, and then Gad, Asher, Yisachar, Zevulun, Yosef, Binyamin.
That's the
first opinion. Second opinion says we go by order of the mother, but not the same way it's done in Bamidbar, but rather the same way it's done in Shemois. Right? When the Torah lists the counting in the beginning of Bamidbar goes by mother's order, but a little different. First of all, because Levi is taken out. That's number one. Besides that, we'll see on the other second half, the second 6, also different. But in the beginning of Shemois, that's the proper order. That would have been written on the 2 stones. Clear? Okay. Now, what's the order there? Ketzad, Bnei Leah Kesidron, the daughters of Leah in their order. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zavulun, giving us 6 on one side. So one stone would be completely Leah's children in their birth order, not putting Yehuda first as the first opinion said, and not breaking Leah's children by going with their birth order, but all of Leah's children listed straight. Clear? Now comes the second side. We now go to Bnei Rachel, because we're going by maternal status. After Leah would be Rachel. But the way Rachel's children are is like this. Echad Mikan, one at the top, the Echad Mikan, and one at the bottom. So the top of the second stone would have Yosef, and the bottom of the second stone having Binyamin.
On the top of the second?
That's right. I'm sorry, all the way around. Binyamin on the top of the second, and Yosef at the bottom of the second. Bnei Shvachos, and the 4 children born to the maids, Be'emtza in the middle, which would give us the order of Binyamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Yosef. I'm reading from Rashi. I'm not so good at I'm not so smart. Just reading Rashi. You clear?
Joseph was on the bottom?
Yes, that's how Rashi puts it. I'm not sure why, but that's how he puts it.
That's interesting, right?
Yes, it is. That's how he puts it.
Benjamin.
Binyamin on top, and then, in other words, right side is easy order of Leah's children. Left side is Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah, but it starts and ends with Rachel's children. First Binyamin, then on the bottom Yosef, and in between you have the other tribes, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Clear?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean.
Okay.
Taking it as-
You don't have to remember of all details, but just the idea,
Yeah.
right? Just the idea. The first.
I'm not going to try to make sense out of it.
Right, just the idea. The first one is their birth order, with the exception of Yehuda going in the front. Opinion A, just go down a column of their birth order with putting Yehuda in the front. And the second opinion is Leah's children on one side, and then the other 3 mothers' children on the other side, with Rachel's children being on top and bottom. That's it. That idea. Now, in the first opinion, we understand why the Torah, when it describes the list of the tribes on the stone, it says Titel Doisam in their birth order. Yeah? We know why it says in their birth order. Because the second stone was in its birth order, according to the first opinion. According to the first opinion, the entire thing was in birth order, but Yehuda being in the front, making the first stone not in birth order because Yehuda's in the front. But the second one certainly is in birth order. So we know why the verse says Kitel Doisam in their birth order. But in the second opinion, neither stone is in their birth order.
No, because you have Benjamin on top.
And you have on the left side also, you have Leah's children, some of which are younger than the other children.
Yeah.
Okay? So you don't have, leave it, someone's in the office. So the Elamani Mekayim Kitel Doisam. So how do I sustain the fact that the verse says in their birth order? And according to the second view, when neither stone is according to their birth order, clear? Says the second opinion, don't read it Kitel Doisam in their birth order, but Kitel Doisam as in literally translated means in their birth or like their birth. Not like their birth order. The word order is what we added. But the verse only says in their birth, namely Kishmoison, in the names of their birth, Shekara le'anavi, in which their father called them. The loy Kishmoi Shekara le'han Moshe, and not in the names that Moshe Rabbeinu referred to them as. What's the difference? Reuven, call him, write down the name Reuven on the stone, as Yaakov referred to them. The loy Ruveni, and not the Ruveni, as Moshe referred to them. Because Yaakov is referring to the individual named Reuven, so he calls him Reuven. But Moshe refers to the clan of Reuven. And when you say the clan of Reuven in Hebrew, you add the yud at the end, Reuveni, like Canadian versus Canada. Following? And that's what it means in their birth. It means list them as they are referred to at birth, not as they're referred to by Moshe Rabbeinu as a clan. Clear? Shimon, referred to it as Shimon, Veloy Shimoni, and not Shimoni. Referred to them as Dan, Veloy Hadani, the Dani. God, and not Veloy Hagadi. End Mishnah text. Now, whichever view you take about the order of the stones, whether you go in birth order or whether you go by this maternal status order, but sorry, whether you go in birth order with the exception of Yehuda, or whether you go in the mother status order with the exception of Benjamin and Yosef being split on top and bottom, either way, Tiyufta Rav Kana, this refutes Rav Kana's view. Because Rav Kana said that when the verse says, describing the people on the mountain as the half, and the reason why it says the half is because it's telling you the half you already know, the half we talked about when we described the list of names on the stone. That's what Rav Kana said, right? Which means in Rav Kana's view, the way the Torah describes the split of tribes on the mountains has to match at least one of the views about the split on the stones.
Well, this is going back now.
That's why we cited this text to refute Rav Kana. And the way the Torah describes the split on the mountains is like neither of the two mentioned above. What's the list described on those in the mountain? Says Rashi for us again, not because I'm so smart.
Just to try to, these opinions about the order of the stones, wasn't that to sort of shed light or refute the opinion of the tribes on the mountain?
That's right.
But now you're saying that neither of any of these three formulations
Two formulations.
are related to.
There's two formulations here.
Two formulations are not related to the order
As they are on the mountains.
as they are on the mountain.
And therefore, when the verse says the half, it can't be referring to the half we described on the stones. Because the half described on the stones is not the same list as those split in the mountain, as the manner in which they were split in the mountain. So this refutes of Kana's view that said that they are matching. Clear? So what was the list on the mountain? So says Rashi for us. The list on the mountain is as follows. Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, and Yosef, Binyamin were on Mount Gerizim. And then on Har Eval, you had Reuven, Gad, Asher, Zebulun, Dan, Naphtali. And that split is neither by birth order nor by maternal status. Because you have Reuven and Shimon split in different mountains, and they're both the same mother. And so with others. So therefore, concludes the Gemara, indeed, Tiyufta, this is indeed a refutation of Rav Kana's view. Because of the Mishnaic text, which tells us that the order as they're listed on the stones is not the order as they appear on the mountain.
So that proof is essentially being rejected, right? The proof of the stone orders.
No. The reverse. The fact that Rav Kahana, again,
they're not in support of the
no, 1 second.
order on the mountain.
They don't have to be. It's only Rav Kahana who said that they are the same. So it refutes Rav Kahana's position. It doesn't refute.
That's what I'm trying to.
Exactly. It's not refuting.
His argument has been refuted.
That's right. Okay.
Match up to.
Let's just make clear what he said. He didn't say any order. All he said is as follows. When the Torah says, or the book of Yeshua says, that the half appeared on one mountain, adding the word the, indicating that the half that's on the mountain is one you already know about, right? Otherwise, why would we say the half? Just say a half. You follow that or no? Yeah? So why does it say the half? Answer said Rav Kana, because it's the half, it's already divided on the stones. Which means, 1 second, which means that in Rav Kana's view, the list we know, the split we know exists at the mountain has to appear on the stones. But when we look at the list of the stone, neither opinion matches that of the mountain. So it's not refuting the list in the mountain, God forbid. Neither is it refuting the list in the stones. It's only refuting this connection between the two.
Yes.
Yeah. So now we're left with square one, which we'll discuss tomorrow, which is, if that's the case, why does the book of Yeshua say the half? Why the half? Back to square one. Rav Kana came to answer a question. Rav Kana came to answer the question, why does the verse say the half and not a half? Right?
What's the thinking behind that?
Behind what?
The half as opposed to a half.
That's the question. Rav Kana answered by saying, why does it say the half? Because you already know about the half from the stones. But now that we refuted that because the stone numbers are not the same list as the mountains, we're back to square one. Why say the half? Clear? You're looking at me funny. No, not clear. What? No, if you're not clear, I'm not going forward. What's the point? Were you clear or not?
Just trying to understand that. Didn't quite understand. You didn't just-
Again, so what did Rav Kana come to address? Why did he speak?
Back on the mountain.
Why is he talking about that? What's the problem with the half of the mountain? What was he trying to tell us? Because the verse says the half on the mountain. Why the word the?
Okay.
That's why he came to
That's
speak.
what I-
Why the? Because you know about this half already. When you say the something, it means it's one you already know. Otherwise, you say a. I don't tell you pass me the half of the cake. I say pass me half of the cake. Why do I say the? Unless we've already been talking about a half, and I say, can you pass the half, please? Right? So I use the word the when you already know about something.
Defined or known.
It's already predefined. Exactly. It's already predefined and known. So the Rav Kana says, yes, it is predefined and known. It's the same half of the stones. All right? But now we concluded the half of the stones is not the same half as the mountain. Back to square one. Why does the Torah say the half? Clear?
Yeah.
That we'll address tomorrow. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Scott. All the very best. You'll have a good day.
Good day.
Good day.